The next thing that we're going to talk about is Markdown format, so MDX. So what is MDX is, if you know MD file, like our readme.md file. So this readme.md has certain structure. For example, you have a heading, like this is like our H2 in HTML. If you just give one single hash, then it is like H1. And then you have this backtick to highlight items. Then you have this syntax to make it as a link. You have this star to make things as bold. You have this backtick, and then the SH, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, all this thing to denote what kind of code snippet you want to put. So there are a bunch of construct, the format that you follow in the .md Markdown. MDX supports all of those. In MD, you also can embed certain HTML. Like I'm embedding C here, a P, a H1. If I just want to see this, like how this one, see in the preview, see this is the one, this particular image come over there. I can use the emojis and all these things that I can do in the Markdown. So everything you can do in MDX also. Plus, you can do one great thing is like you can import your JSX component. So it means that you can import your React component into your MDX file, and that is really, really so powerful. So first, let us see the heading documentation and see how exactly it reflects into our documentation site, right? So what I'll do is I will be opening up this heading.mdx file. Now this MDX file, you can keep it any folder of your choice, as long as you're not ignoring that folder into the Docz.zrc file, right? So you can keep it anywhere. I just kept it over here. Just wanted to keep it close. That's all. So I'll open up heading.mdx file. Okay, before that, just one thing I forgot. Let me talk about it. So I have created one index.mdx file, right? Why I created this index.mdx file is once you land into your doc site, you first want to probably greet your customers and users and would like to tell them, hey, this is our doc site. And from here, you can actually traverse through various component documentation. So that's why that index.mdx file I have created with two important aspects here. So this is what the structure I'm going to talk about, that Docz will read from the MDX and is going to create the documentation for you. So name is of course the name of the documentation, and with this name, you can identify this particular document into your doc site. Routes is I just spoke about the Gatsby route, / about and things like that. So in your application, in our Hobbyland application, if I go to /docs route, I should be able to see a page that is created out of this index.mdx file. Then a getting started a heading, a Hobbyland is a subheading, then some text to define what Hobbyland is, and then I am showing one image, from a CDN. That's what this index.mdx file. Let's go and see our doc site, how it looks. So here is a documentation link, and if you just look into this particular section of the page, if I'm hovering over, you see it is /docs. So I have linked it with the /docs, and /docs is a route to go to my index.mdx page. Once I go to my index.mdx page, this is the index.mdx page, the getting started heading, then Hobbyland subheading, then some text about it, then imaging from Cloudinary CDN. You can show it from anywhere locally also. So you can actually see this side by side. This is how it is, right? So you're already seeing our first documentation. So this is the first documentation that is live on your doc site for using. Isn't that cool? So if you change anything over here, the changes reflects immediately into your doc site, and you should be able to see this happening right away. Want to start documenting those components, right? So let's do that. So now what we'll be doing, we'll be going to our heading.mdx. So let's create a heading.mdx file. So in the heading.mdx file, I want you to pay some attention over here. So we have already fixed a route, like our doc site will be served into /docs, index.js file already done that. Now what we want to do, we want to put all these components, that their documentation, under the components menu. Do you see that here? This is the components menu. If I expand, I have button, heading, and hobby card already, right? So we are talking about headings. So what is the link that when you are writing headings documentation, you put this documentation under this particular menu item and name it as headings. Okay. And then I'll just ignoring this for a moment. I have a heading. Then what is it about? I have a subheading. And then I see this code, which is almost look like a HTML code, right? And if I look into this import and this together, this look like JSX, because JSX is that syntax where you have JavaScript and HTML kind of mashed up together, and it's almost look like the similar kind of syntax, isn't it? Now let's zoom in and try to understand this. So first thing that I'm importing is something called playground. And then our heading component. You remember our heading component? We just created a heading component using in our application already. This is that heading component. So I'm importing that heading component inside the heading.mdx file. And there's a playground I'm importing from Docz. Playground is an inbuilt component of Docz. Helps you to perceive the code documentation much cleaner way. This is a way where you can see this heading component, how it will be actually rendered into an application site alongside the code that is making it render. Not only that, you can also copy the code snippet so that you can directly use it elsewhere. That's really super powerful. So as long as you have your component, the heading component, within the playground, your playground is just going to give you that. Let's see that right. Headings. This is what I see, the heading, main heading, and this is the playground that I'm talking about. So what are the aspects of playground? I'm already seeing how this particular component is going to render, if I'm using it elsewhere. This is the code snippet, that is making it render this way. If I click on this, it just copied this particular snippet. I can paste it somewhere. If I don't want to see the code, I just hide it. Simple, but very powerful. So this is a simple usage of MDX where I am able to bring one component into my documentation, right? Let's look into a little bit of advanced stage and let's understand the next component, like how Docz help to make the documentation much more elegant. So now we'll be looking into a buttons.mdx file. Of course, you guessed it by now. It is going to document the button. The name is button. Of course, the menu item is components. And what we are going to do, just like before, we have imported the button component that we have used in the Hobbyland. We have imported the playground, but along with that, we have imported one more built-in Docz component called props. This props is going to explain and define each of the property, their characteristic, why they are available, their default value, whether they are mandatory or not, everything in the documentation. And this is a great usage because somebody who is not very well versed with this component, they really don't have to look into the code structure of button component at all. They can just know, looking into the documentation, like what exactly it is about. Let's use it, right? How do you make these properties come in? You use this props component, say props of the button component. That's it. It is going to create a table structure for you, explaining each of the property, the props that buttons uses, right? So let's see the button component a bit to understand that. So if I click on button, this is the props table I was talking about. So if you remember when I was explaining the component, we have primary, secondary, warning, danger, negative, and it says that primary is the default value. If I expand, this is a description of it. Similarly, disabled, I have label, I have on click. Now, if you wonder like where is this text is being picked up and where is this, I'm telling primary is the default, disabled is the default. No worries. If you have missed it, let's go back to the button component once again. See what we are doing. In the props type, I'm defining a comment. This comment, if you define whatever, that is coming as a documentation for this particular property, type property. For disabled, this is the one. Now here I am saying that possible values are primary, secondary, warning, danger, negative. for this possible values are true and false. This is a mandatory field. This is a function, and these are the default values. So it reads everything that you defined over here. It creates a table for you. And this is very easy for somebody to understand, like what value they need to mandatorily pass and what not. Now, if I scroll down, I see bunch of playgrounds now. Now you're well versed in playground, right? This is each of these things are playground. So as you have different types of button, it's your opportunity to explain it to your consumers, like what are the different types of buttons available and how can you quickly just copy it, use it. So I have a simple button, I have a primary button, secondary button, warning button, danger button, cancel button, negative button, a disable button. And you see that for a disable button, I would have styled it in a way that it should not have a cursor. You see that when I mouse over on this, it doesn't have a cursor. If I do F12, bring my this guy over here and click on this danger button, and you see it is actually triggering I am danger because I have given a console.log. I'm danger. So yeah, I'm danger. So the thing is, it actually works seamlessly, the similar way how you expect it to work when you just copy paste this code and put into your component of the application structure. Right, so that's how the button are. And one beauty of it is like each of the subsections that we see over here, it is also creating the submenu. Not only that, if you go to a particular submenu, it is creating a deep linking. So it means you can always copy this guy and give it to somebody like, hey, I have created a theme button. You want to use it? Just use this. You don't have to tell, hey, go to my doc site, go and try to search for this theme. But though it has a search, try to search for the theme button and try to find it. The deep linking actually works really, really well for you to get into the portion of the documentation that you might be interested in, right? So hobby.mdx is over here, and if I go to my hobby card, I see it kind of pretty blank, right? This hobby thing is kind of very, very blank. So what we can see over here is like, this is the hobby card and this is the name, and it goes inside the component. So we can actually start putting something is like, hobby card component is to define a hobby with a name, description, and rank based on the rank. I love Copilot. It's trying to complete something. Okay, based on the rank, we can provide a color to the card using the color prop, using the props. So you got it. Now the next thing that what we'll be doing, we have a basic expansion. If I save it, we will see that our documentation gets updated, should get updated over here. As I've saved it, so let me just go over there and come back, or just refresh this. Should get updated. It's probably a bit slow in my machine. Okay, I'll continue writing it, let it get updated in the meantime. So the next thing that what we can do is like we can import our hobby component. Let's say hobby from, we're already in the components folder, so I can just take hobby. And what I can do next is like, okay, instead of writing, I'll just go to button.mdx file and copy this playground and this thing, and just this one. Okay, so maybe we don't want to use props in this case, just playground and this thing. So the next thing that you can do is like, you might want to segregate like different kind of hobby cards. For example, the hobbies that comes with the red color background, which is like just got started. So one hobby could be just started hobby card. That could be one, and then the next one would be in progress hobby card, and the last one would be going well hobby card, right? So what we can do over here right now is like we can bring in different kind of hobby cards, and while bringing in these different kind of hobby cards, we can showcase, like, okay, we give different kind of data to it, and based on each of this data, it started reacting in a way like we expected to do, like in our application, exactly like what happened in our application, right? Let's see, like, what I've saved so far, whether has it come? Yeah, it has come. The one that we have given in the beginning, like hobby card component is defined, blah blah blah. It has come over there, but the rest of the portion I have not saved yet, so it has come. So let us go ahead and start pulling our hobby stuff. So first thing we'll be doing is playground, right? And then let's close playground. Okay. And within our playground, what we are going to do over here is we are going to bring this hobby. Now, hobby takes a props, right? So let's go to hobby.base file. So let's see what hobby expects. Hobby expects a props, and the props is nothing but a hobby object, which has ID, name, description, and weight, right? ID is something that we are not showing because we have marked it as hidden. And then H3 shows the name, the description, and then the weight. So we will be taking this particular object, creating an object, and we'll be passing into the hobby. So I have an object already created, so I'm just trying to do that. So it will be like this. Let's create this. Let's format it a bit. So what we are doing over here, we are using a playground, and after using this playground, we are calling this hobby here, hobby from ./hobby, and then we are passing this hobby props because we are seeing like it is taking this hobby props. It has ID, name, description, and weight. So we are passing those value on ID, name, description, weight. And it also has a look and feel, like to determine the background color and things like that. So yeah, it is used here, like look, background, what is the background color, and then what is the text color, right? So that also we can actually pass. So that's pretty much how our hobby objects should look like. Now we'll see like whether this kind of gets rendered correctly or we are facing the error. Okay, we have some error. Oh, no. Okay, so it's writing. Okay, as I'm kind of running Visual Code, my video and everything together, it takes some time. Okay, so the playground didn't really render the way that we have expected. So it's probably got with some error that we have to check, like we have probably done some typo. It's refreshing again, let it get refreshed.